As we always do in this hour, we bring in our specialist desk editors and senior journalists to come and open up their diaries for you, to give you a sense of where the story will go next, as we always say, as part of the mantra of this show. SABC News political editor Mzwandile Mbeje is first up in terms of doing that. Good afternoon, Mzwai. So this is the last week of August. That means we're very close to the business end, let's call it that, the business end of the Madlanga Commission getting down to the work. That's one of the stories you'll be looking at.
Absolutely. I think what will be happening as part of the build-up to us this week, we'll be looking at what exactly is in place with regards to the Madlanga Commission. In fact, as recently as about 2 days ago, so we had a technical briefing there. We already know the venue where it will be sitting. And you know, when we talk about the Madlanga Commission, we're talking about that commission that will investigate those claims and those allegations made by the Provincial Commissioner of KZN about a whole range of issues. And that is going to be quite key and significant in terms of taking the direction of this country. So if all goes according to plan, Tulas, we expect that this commission will sit, I think, on the 1st of September. And I know there's a lot that's going on, so I won't be surprised, perhaps, if there is a delay here and there, because there's a lot of issues. In fact, given the nature of the commission and the nature of the issues that will be looked at. Remember, one of the big things that people said after those allegations by Mkhwanazi was that this is touching at the state security, so the national security of the country. So what is it that will be admitted or admissible as evidence? What is it that will be out there in public for you and I? But what is it that will be then held behind closed doors because of that nature? So as this week builds up and begins, so those are the issues we'll try to explore to say, how far will this commission go?
And that's parallel to the processes being undertaken by the ad hoc committee in Parliament, who already indicated who their first witness will be.
Absolutely, that's what will be happening. And actually, they were at pains to say this is not a copycat of the Madlanga Commission, so they are executing their responsibility as the legislature. Remember, some of their members are implicated. Of course, they need to somehow ensure that everyone is able to account. So it will be very interesting. In fact, I was saying earlier with our colleagues, it will be interesting when the ad hoc committee is sitting and the commission is sitting on the same day, because there are likely to be similar issues.
How will you deploy? How will you split the screen?
In fact, sometimes not even the similar issues. Some of them will actually be the same, because they are coming to deal with the same subject, and some of the witnesses will be the same people.
But jokes aside, some serious matters to be considered by both processes. As you say, strike at the heart of serious issues, including national security. Let's talk about party politics. Why is the ANC holding a special National Executive Committee meeting? What's on the agenda? Do we know?
I think in the next week or so. You'd recall that about 2 weeks ago, so they held their regular NEC meeting, so where they dealt with a range of issues. One of them, the possible expansion of the GNU, and then of course they mandated their leadership to engage other parties with a view of expanding or reconfiguring the GNU, whichever way you put it. So that process has somehow been ongoing. But what I think was most striking is their relationship with their key alliance partner, SACP. As we stand here, SACP has made it clear that we are going it alone come 2026 local government elections. And then, of course, what does that do to the alliance partner who has always been dependable in these circumstances? So one of the issues really that will be spoken about, they'll dedicate their time, is this issue. So how do they respond to this? How do they engage the SACP? On its part, it seems like the SACP has long it's checked out completely on that subject. But of course, I'm sure they'll give them the hearing. And it will be interesting to hear, because they would have given themselves enough time to look at this issue. I mean, my guess is that perhaps we are at a point of no return.
It really looks that way. Certainly from the SACP side, that this is a resolution. It's done, we've resolved, but it remains confusing though, because when you ask them Do you remain in alliance with the ANC? The answer is yes.
Yes.
Even though we're not campaigning on the same ticket.
That's why this NEC will need to clarify that.
Yeah.
We'll need to clarify that. In fact, talking about the issues, elections or IEC related to us, I might just add that on Tuesday we'll have an IEC briefing. And you know what it's about? It's about the 2026 local government elections. So clearly, we are already starting. So that process is getting underway now. So it's very important then for the ANC and the SACP to decide what is it that they're doing. If they are on opposite side, they must make it clear now, because that process, as we say on Tuesday, gets underway.
And lastly, Mzwandile, the implications are many, right? In terms of even how the ANC approaches electoral preparedness. I think a few weeks ago, I remember comments attributed to Nomvula Mokonyane that had to do with, well, if you are competitors, how do we continue to have you in the room as and when we are planning our own electoral strategy?
It's very interesting, particularly, and then you look at some of the prominent members of the ANC and the SACP who hold cabinet positions.
Dual membership as well.
And that would be very interesting. But as you and I know, those who are in government or even in cabinet, they're on the mandate of the ANC. So perhaps that is the argument that would be advanced. But what if someone decides that he's more loyal to the SACP? Do they leave?
What then happens?
That's the question.
Yeah. So looking forward to that. And lastly, Mzwandile, let's touch on. I see you're saying Joburg getting ready for the G20. What does that even look like? As someone who lives in Joburg, I don't know. What does it look like?
You know, we are a few weeks away from, or maybe months away from the G20. And you know the importance of the G20. Many people may not understand what it is. So this is a group of the most industrialized countries in the world. So you will talk Europe, North America, Asia, and then of course you have in Africa, South Africa, but of course they've added the AU now, so which then will represent other countries. So it's very important, and this kind of a gathering so touches on very key economic, financial issues of the world. So as the country, as the city about to host this, are we ready for that? Let's just assume for a second that the superpower is coming. So, you know, when he comes to town, you and I have been around.
Absolutely.
When he comes to town, everything comes to a complete standstill. So are we ready to accept someone like that? Is our infrastructure in place? Because they come with a whole sort of, sort of things. So there have been attempts. We just want to track this between now and then to see. We've been worried about the dark roads, robots not working, intersections not working, potholes galore. I do see that perhaps there is an attempt in some areas. The question is that attempt fast enough to really get us when we host the most industrialized, and then we say we are ready to be the gateway to the world? Will we be convincing? I think that's the challenge. The leadership of Joburg, of national, of the province need to look at.
All right, Mzwandile, thank you for coming through. Hopefully, with that determination of us being ready for the G20, hopefully there's some momentum there that is generated, because until now, if you live in Joburg, as we both do, I mean, nothing much to write home about in as far as infrastructure, at least the way that it has deteriorated in the last few years.